Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. And here we are. We're moved into the new place. Everything's comfy cozy. I'm still reorganizing and cleaning up a little bit, but hey, it's a white wall with the thing behind. There's a couch now, and there's some stuff over there. That's only there because of stream today, but you know, we got that and all this and everything. And this will be the new background for the foreseeable future until God knows when I move again. Because there's a good chance this won't be the last background you see on this stream, because I don't know that I want to necessarily stay in the area that I'm in. It's just kind of a temporary thing since, this is kind of a huge sudden thing for me. But for the time being, let's enjoy it. Now, my schedule is actually a little packed. I've gotten back into the gym consistently again. I've been doing a lot of cooking since I finally have everything moved. I don't want to order out. I just want to get back to cooking. I got some chili lime cod in there. I've got some Korean barbecue marinated beef. I've got a few steaks. I've got just some plain seasoned, just a few basic seasonings, chicken breast in there. I got rice. I got garlic and Parmesan broccoli. I got sweet potatoes. I've been cooking nonstop. Some of that still needs to be cooked, but I've been cooking nonstop. So I want to get through this, get to the gym, get here, eat, and then work on more videos. Because as you can see, we've been getting back to a little bit of a more normal schedule now that I'm moved in and I'm kind of ready to get back into all that. So with that, thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon. They don't have to support. They choose to support. All my content is available for free here on YouTube. But between them and anyone who actually uses the Super Thanks feature here on YouTube, thank you to all of you for supporting. On top of that, SteelSeries. So I've been sponsored by SteelSeries for years. And as you can tell, I'm like, the energy's high. Like I'm tripping over words nonstop here. I have been sponsored by SteelSeries for years. However, they actually gave me like an additional thing for this month. They have a software, it's called SteelSeries GG, and it has several functions on it. Some of them specific to like managing if you own SteelSeries hardware. Some of it not specific to that. Sonar allows you to fine-tune audio devices, whether they be ingoing or outgoing. And Moments can actually automatically capture clips to share online for various games, or you can use it to manually capture clips of games to share online. However, for promoting it, they gave me my own download link and everything like that. And everyone who downloads does directly support the channel. Every single download counts towards me for, a reward. So putting that out there, you'll probably hear me mention it for the rest of the month. And I apologize if you don't want to hear that. But listen, your boy just moved. Your boy's trying to bring in some dosh, okay? They give me an opportunity, I'm going to take an opportunity, okay? That's how it's going to be. Regardless, let's get into the Q&A itself because, like I said, I got stuff to do. So let's go. All right, first question in the new place. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. Hi. I've wanted to escape the nightmare that is Savage in Party Finder. Escaping means getting a static. But the only consistent schedule I have is graveyard hours, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I don't know what time zone, but still, that's pretty rough. I'm NA and can't seem to find a group that starts that late. Any advice or sites or locations I can get to try to make this happen? Not looking to transfer data centers would have been my recommendation. So just hoping there's another solution. I mean, the only thing is to go through the usual avenues: Reddit, Discord, Party Finder. Yeah, like that's really the only option. If those are East Coast times, it might be a little bit more reasonable. If they're West Coast times, it's a lot tougher. So, I mean, that's all you can really do is just advertise that those are your raid times and hope. I mean, I can't really think of any other advice to give. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Quick question for you about 10. Sure. Do you see them doing a 10-3 with all the side content between the audio drama and such? We don't even have to look that far. They have said out loud they want to do a 10-3 and that they have those questionable side resources to pull from if they need to. I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when. But we know. So there's two things we know right now. One, Final Fantasy VII would have to finish the remake, rebirth, whatever the third one's called, would have to finish most likely before this would start. That was what we were told. We do, however, know that Square Enix is working on a secret project. They themselves have said this. This isn't a hot scoop or anything. I think it was Kitase himself who said it, that there's some sort of completely unannounced major project happening. Now, some people think that is the rumored Final Fantasy IX remake. Some people think that is 10-3, and some people think it's something else altogether. We don't know. So That's something we're waiting for news for, and every major gaming event, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye out to see if we can say that must have been the thing. So keep that in the back of your mind. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi, how are you? Great. Hope your move has gone well. Yeah, I'd say there's things you can't see that are a little messy. Not that messy, but a little messy that need to be tidied up. I'm new to Extreme and Savage raiding, with Abyssos being the first raid tier I've completed. As a White Mage main, I understand the importance of having high DPS and as low as possible HPS. However, it seems to only be a little correlation between these metrics and a player's mechanical consistency. What are your thoughts on the importance of consistency versus high parses? It doesn't matter if you're gray as long as you cleared. I always put consistency over high parses going into actual progression rating, because while yes, you do want to be, you realistically you want a balance of the two. Right? But consistency of seeing to the end of the fight should be top priority. And then meeting checks as they are presented to you becomes second priority. You know, you don't want to not be able to beat a check because people are completely incapable of performing at a certain level. But a weak one clear is never a clean, even if it's cleanly executed, it's never the cleanest clear for every person in terms of their play. So getting the first part down of consistency, most important, then you work on increasing the DPS. And that's true not just for healer, but that's true for everybody. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Happy. Hi. What are some dungeon bosses you wish could have gotten full trial treatment? I mean, Anima. Anima is always going to be the #1 answer for that. Diablos having the 24-man, and then us getting Diablos again, technically in Bozja, was really, really cool, but he's another one that's... I think it's really all of the iconic summons that were used as dungeon bosses, the 4 fiends, the 2 of them that were used as dungeon bosses. I think those enemies are always going to be kind of seen by the community as, oh, imagine if they had a raid version, or like a savage version or an extreme version. And I don't think we're ever going to escape that. So I'm sure if I went down the list, I could come up with a lot more, but just off the top of my head, those are a few. Hashtag weekday with the Happy Mister. You're correct. Monday is a weekday. Hey there, Haps. Hi. Hope the move went well. Doing good. I last moved 7 years ago. Pretty sure I still have stuff in boxes. I have nothing in boxes unless they were in boxes before I moved. And that's usually just like things like a vacuum, for example. What's something else I still have in a box? Nothing really. Like, I guess the boxes behind me, like the collector's edition stuff, but I don't really have much left. Oh, you know what though? I have one specific box that's for backup wires. That was true in the last place. I just moved that box over here, so it's the same thing. No, pretty much everything is unpacked because I didn't move very far. So what I did is I would grab a really big box, put everything I wanted to move in one trip in the one box, and then pick it up and move it over. So it was very slow. I had to go back and forth like a million times in order to do my move, but I also didn't have to actually unpack or like, you know, fill my apartment full of boxes in order to do it. So it worked fairly well. Started playing 14 late December last year, and even nearing 2,900 hours, I still find new things to do, and the game is just as fun as when I started. My question is, do you ever think they'll give Summoner more basic summons? I remember there being a lore reason as to around the Warrior of Light not having enough ether to manifest eggies of primals of that level, but then we have Demi Bahamut Phoenix now, so what gives? Yeah, I wouldn't expect it, especially because the summons, like, here's the thing, we've been waiting for new Eggy Glam for a very, 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 very long time. If it hasn't happened yet, I have no reason to give myself expectation of it happening soon. Like, could it? Should it? Yes. Should I expect it at this point? No. And I don't think it's just the lore reason. I just think resource-wise, they don't want to do it. Whatever the reason is for that, I don't know. But I just have no hope for it. Before I address this one, I saw one talking about the continuity of the Armored Core games in terms of story, and it said 5 is a sequel to 4. I am almost 100% certain that 5 has nothing to do with 4. I think 1 and 2 are related, but then 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all, like, completely different. Their respective sequels, like Silent Line and For Answer, they're related to each other. I mean, it's in the names themselves, but I'm almost certain that 5 is nothing to do with Armored Core 4. Anyway, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey there, Haps. Hi, hope your move went well. I'm going to be seeing that a lot. I'll just do this every time somebody says that. My day as I'm writing this has been all right so far. Good, glad to hear it. I have a question regarding statics. I'm hoping to find a static for next tier. Ooh, it's getting really close to the wire on that one. because I plan on healing it and I don't really want to heal in PF. However, it's unlikely I'll be able to do the extreme trial since I prefer to do the MSQ with friends who haven't gotten past 6.2 yet. However, most statics that I look for say they're going to do the extreme first week before Savage, so I'm wondering how likely it is to find a group that would be all right. You'd have to find an ultra casual group that just doesn't care. Like, I'm not going to lie, the statics that I'm usually a part of, they want to do that stuff, but they do not require it. And, you know, I've joined a lot of very high tier groups over the course of my time. But it's a perfectly reasonable thing for a static to want that. And there's no way to calculate the odds on this. Like, it's something that's really normal, but it's just a matter of putting it out there and hoping, because there's nothing else you can really do about it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Howdy, Haps. Howdy. What's your favorite pup and automaton frame design? Not function, but aesthetics. I really like the Red Mage frame. I really like the caster frame, but the Red Mage one in particular, the scheme of it, that's definitely the one I like the most. Over the years, I've come to realize that Harlequin is also very good. I think Harlequin is it's very detailed. If you zoom in on it, it's very. I mean, I think that's also why I like the caster one. They're very detailed. They're very gaudy, in a sense. Even the Harlequin one is. So, yeah, no, I agree on that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Move Days. Hey, I now wonder if anyone else had anything clever like that, and I missed it because I was just seeing it as Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. How are things settling? Good. Blue Mage question. I'll see what I can do. What spell from Shadowbringers do you most want to see? Somebody asked me this like 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care to see a specific spell, because I just want to see what the spells we get do, and then I need to, you know, think about how I'm going to actually do content with said spell, or if I'll even use it, or if it's even useful, you know. So I don't have like a particular wish list when it comes to this particular thing, so that means I don't really have much of an answer. Hashtag Mondays with the Happy Mister. Oh, we have our first not hello. Oh, man. My static started progging DSR in the time before the Savage tier and was wondering, how important is Biss? I ended up getting Biss on tank after hours of pain, but was wondering if it's a major difference if you're not Biss. It is actually a significant difference. I mean, it's 5 item levels across multiple pieces. The vitality is big. The base stats are big. And it's especially true if it's across everybody. How important is it is a little bit different of a question. You definitely don't want to be sinking down on jobs like tank and roles like tank and healer, because you start losing melds, and that becomes the biggest thing. So whether or not you have the dungeon gear or you have raid specific, like the gear that we would have had going into that from the previous Savage tier, both of those are usually the preferred options until way down the line, when substats usually just outscale it as a whole. Like when we sink down, the way our gear sinks down usually makes up for it. But tanks and healers are always a consideration for that. So yeah, it's not unreasonable that you as the tank would get it. And it's most, I mean, imagine doing it, but your gear is synced down and you have no direct hit melts. You know, just imagine that. Just imagine having none, absolutely zero of the stat, and how much that impacts you. That's why it's mostly true for tank and healer. However, I will say this also, you specifically don't want to be under geared. That's by far the worst. You don't want to just like say, oh, you know, I'm like item level 601 for DSR, when 610 is like kind of the minimum expected. Like, you don't want that. That's a disaster situation. But, you know, for Biss, it just really matters to have the melts for those particular roles more than anything. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey there, Happy. Hi. As someone who main pup 2 pup questions in one show, must be my birthday. In Final Fantasy XI from TOEU all the way through Adolin, I share your enthusiasm for it to be brought to 14. My question is, what role would you prefer to be? I actually made a video about it, and I think it would be best in the Fizz ranged role. I think the fact that its weapon is the animator alone makes it well enough. And I think that most of the frames are ranged. You have Valor Edge, and you have specific combinations that make things like the ranged puppet melee range, but I think Fizz ranged is the role I would throw Puppet Master into. And like I said, I made a whole video going over like ideas and things that they could do, just a fun little spitball thing. So I'd recommend going and giving that a watch. Hashtag every day with Mr. Happy. Imagine I did a Q&A every single day. Ugh, I'd get sick of me. I'm already sick of me. Hey, hi. Been watching your videos since the dawn of Stormblood and been playing since 2.0 launch, but never once commented, so here I am. welcome. Just wanted to say you make me feel extra validated as an 11 enjoyer. I always love hearing your small tidbits for bringing back as many memories from my childhood as it was. Well, keep in mind, I enjoyed it when I was young. Now I mostly rib on it with the occasional compliment about specific aspects, but I'm glad you enjoyed it all the same. Anyway, last week you mentioned you were playing Honkai Star Rail, and I have two questions. One, are you enjoying the way Hoyoverse did their turn-based battle system? And second, did you get into the closet? Yes, I did, of course, go into the closet inside of the hotel. And that was where I was really convinced that the team who wrote the story for Honkai really, or at the very least, maybe not necessarily wrote it, but whoever localized it to English especially, really wanted to do a good job, really wanted a lot of flavor text, really wanted a lot of personality, especially for inanimate objects. Like, it's not just the closet, it's all those trash cans too. Their turn-based system is done, I would say, masterfully. I mean, it's something tried and true. Like, you look at it, and on the surface, it almost kind of reminds you of something like Final Fantasy X. It has the break system, which is a little weird because I always expect it to stop them from taking their next turn, or at least I did at first, but it's not really how it works. But that being said, being able to interrupt turns and, use ultimates to go completely out of order, or to extend turn orders when combined with passives, it's very, very well done. It's definitely one of those systems where you play it in one game, and while you don't necessarily want other games to just copy it, you kind of want to see the exact same thing in another setting, in another fresh experience that you're playing from scratch. And it's high on my recommended list. The only complaint I have about that game is the fact you can't jump. Like, that's the only major complaint. And that's saying a lot, because I'm usually quite critical of games like that. So they're doing really good so far. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope all is well for you currently. Doing all right. First time asking a question. Welcome. I've noticed there's currently been an ongoing discussion about the content post-Endwalker being pretty lacking for quite a few players after a snippet from an interview started circling around about 6.45. Yeah, I made a whole video about this a couple days ago too. My questions are, have you been feeling the same about the content? Yeah, like I said, I made the video, but I'll still do this. Hasn't been lacking. So it's not that Endwalker content has been lacking. That's not how I feel. What I feel is that the team doesn't want me, and I just noticed this is off-center. This randomly gets off-center every week, and it annoys me. I don't know why it just moves. The whole thing. I was like, yeah, it's centered. It's perfect. It feels like they want me to play as little as possible, and that in particular is what I don't like. I really enjoy Variant, Criterion, and Criterion Savage. What I don't enjoy are the rewards and the replayability. I really like the way the Mandible weapons look, and I don't mind tomestones, but I hate that I can't choose to spend more time playing the game, because I would love to just sit there and stream, especially because I stream. Like, that's a big component for me. I would love to be able to stream myself saying, making every Endwalker weapon. But now if I do that, it's just I'm spamming a high-level dungeon or just like Orthos. Like, I'm just trying to get tomes. It's just not very engaging, not very interesting. And then, Savage, I'd say that Abyssos kind of a letdown. 6 and 7 aren't very good, and 8 was a, massive problem on release. And I really like DSR and Top. DSR, I don't really feel like redoing, and Top, I actually really liked, but I know how a lot of other people feel about it. So, I feel like there's been, for every up, there's been a down in Endwalker. Whereas, I feel like in previous expansions, we've had just outright wins with a few flaws, but I wouldn't really go so far as to say that they were positive or they were received just as positively in some ways as they were negatively. I mean, that's true of Island Sanctuary. That's true of like the housing updates. Like, we had the whole thing with the housing. That was a huge problem. So it's just like for every time that something good has happened, something bad has happened in Endwalker. And that really drags people down over the time. But that being said, otherwise, I'm not like too hypercritical of any particular thing. I just wish they would give me more reasons to play the game. Just if I want to. Don't force me to, but I want to, and I want you to give me goals to reach for that are, I guess, engaging, I suppose. That's really just how I feel. And it has nothing to do with 16 and 7.0. That's not how project management works. That's not how that works at all. That's everyone who says that's just coping. It has everything to do with what the 14 team is doing and nothing to do with anything else. Hashtag Mondays Hip Haps. Okay. Hey, hi. Was listening to your comments about how you feel about Platinum Games. Was wondering if you felt the same way towards Astral Chain. No, Astral Chain is the one exception. I actually think they have a nice, weighty, satisfying gameplay system in Astral Chain. You know the problem with it? It's on the goddamn Switch, and it runs like a slug. It is trapped on a console that it's begging to be let out onto something else. I really like the detective aspects of Astral Chain, and I even thought, even though it's like over-the-top anime style stuff, it's still fairly well done. That game is the one exception to that weightless, soulless feel that I get from a lot of Platinum games where it just feels like they were going for flash over substance. No, Astral Chain gets a pass on that, but it's trapped on the Switch, and the Switch runs it so poorly that it makes me upset. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Good afternoon, Haps. Hello. What's the piece of content in 14 that surprised you the most? I remember you talking about how you basically hadn't leveled Fisher until the Troller title came out and then played it a ton. Was there other content where you went, wait, this is way cooler than I thought? I don't think so. Because there's content that I really wanted to like and then felt kind of so-so. Deep Dungeons are really big on that outside of the solo achievement. And even then, like sometimes doing the solo achievement just feels like an absolute drag. And yeah, I don't think so. I think the fishing title is like the one thing that really took me off my guard. You know what? Actually, there is Crystalline Conflict when it came out in 6.1. And to this day, I really, really do enjoy it. I just don't play games strictly for PvP. So when I felt like I had the goal of reaching Crystal in that first season, even though, you know, PvP always comes with headaches and a little bit of little toxicity, you know, you get a little mad at things when they don't go quite your way. That really took me by surprise because I never thought I'd really enjoy 14 PvP after years of, well, that thought process kind of being proven. While I don't play it really as much anymore, I actually love watching it. The PvP, unofficial PvP tournaments that have been held by the community, ones that I've hosted and ones that have been hosted officially by Square or by other players, have all been phenomenal watches, and I really, really enjoy it. So I think the only other thing I'd throw on there is Crystalline Conflict. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Well met, Mr. Happy. Hello. What are the main things you like and dislike about New Jersey? Well, I'll start with like. It is close to a bunch of other states I'd rather go to, so it's, you know, low travel time. The pork rolls are good. The bagels are good. We get to inherit New York's pizza in terms of quality, and then I grew up there, so family. I like family, and then the rest goes in the other pile. Okay, I skipped past a comment, but the comment is a brilliant idea. I should do one of those Duty Finder videos where I only join instances in progress. That's brilliant. That's a good one. I like that. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that this week. I'm probably doing those videos like every other week or something like that, but that's going in the pile. Big time going in the pile. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Happy. Hi. How would you feel if the final stage of the Endwalker's Relic Weapon required resources from the other places? Perhaps a bit troll, but thematically appropriate and would drive traffic into older content. I don't think the only place is Delubrum Reginae, because Delubrum needs something to revitalize. I hate how dead Delubrum Reginae is. I just need something to revitalize it. But no, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you just need to look at what people did like about those old steps and replicate it. I don't think you need to necessarily go back into those things. I mean, the Anima is literally just doing like old instances. Like you could do that anytime you want. But Eureka and Bozja, the only thing I'd really want to see is Delubrum. So no, I don't think so, because then it's just leeching off of another one. I see every single relic grind, I can like identify bits and pieces about it that I like and don't like steps that I like, steps that I don't like, experiences I have doing those steps. I can't do that with the Endwalker one. It's just tomes. So I want to be able to say, you know, the Endwalker X or Y Endwalker step is my least favorite, or the one that I didn't mind, or the one that I liked. They're all the same so far, and it looks like they might all end up being the same, so I'm just going to feel like I didn't care about any of them, and because they were all the same, so I only have one opinion, and that's kind of lame. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Happy. Hi. It seems the move has gone well, which is great. It is indeed. Thank you. Good luck with the new chapter. You still get a bunch of support from all of us. Thanks, man. A question about Bard this time, since I'm playing Bard and Savage now. Why? Listen, I still really enjoy current Bard. It's just Dancer is easier to play. So, I know the opener of Bard is tied to the Wanderer's Minuet, but is it crucial that the 2-minute buffs align with the song too? Yes. So, let me rephrase. You should be playing in such a way that Minuet always lines up with 2s. Now, it doesn't have to be the very beginning of Minuet. There have been fights where the timing of you need to pop Minuet at the 2-minute mark, but something happens that prevents you from really going into a buff window with the rest of your party. So you just want to make sure that 15 to 20 seconds of Minuet are captured for a buff window, and that is going to affect every buff window you have after that. So it's very, very important. However, you say you're mostly having that problem in dungeons. Dungeons don't matter. Don't care. It doesn't matter. Like if you're 2 minutes, honestly, you should be using 2 minutes on trash, and if it doesn't line up with bosses, it's fine. It really doesn't matter at all. So I wouldn't worry about it there. You shouldn't be like worried about min-maxing on songs and places like that. It's just not worth it. Hashtag Mr. Happy. Don't worry, I regularly type happy instead of happy as well. Hey, Mr. Happy, longtime listener, first-time asker in 14 with all the Relic series so far, not counting Mandervilles that aren't finished yet. What's your favorite Relic series and why? Boja's the one I did the most, but looking back, I think it's Eureka. While I was not a fan of on-release Pagos, I still think about the amount of time and community and dedication that went into that and eventually Baldesion Arsenal. And that, it's a very positive experience. I mean, I still revisit Eureka to this day. Like, the content has just had such staying power for me that by extension, I feel like I have to give credit to the relic itself that was present there. For myself, it would be a toss-up between the Resistance weapons and the A Realm Reborn ones. Well, also, I guess I didn't know if you were talking about the quests or the appearances. I would need all of them lined up to really judge the appearances of them all. But yeah, I'm gonna throw my vote towards Eureka. Even though Eureka has a lot of weapons I don't care about, I still really enjoy the content, so that makes me want to put it at the top of this food chain. Day that ends in Y with Mr. Happy. Whoa. That's like all the days. Greetings, Kupo. My static has reached 4% in rage on Uwu, hoping to clear this coming Tuesday or at least sometime this week. Primal Roulette is the victory lap, the guide said. They forgot to mention the tiny detail that raid wides hit like a freight train going 500 miles per hour. So just asking for a little bit of luck wish. Yeah, the big thing is when a phase is only mitigation prog, it shouldn't be failed more than once or twice. While yes, the order of the skills there is slightly different, the DPS check is so minimal at this point that throwing GCD heals in there shouldn't lead to DPS issues by the end of everything. So that's the big reason why. It should just be a hard mitigation check that shouldn't come with too much struggle. But every group has to progress at their own pace and in their own way, and we'll all have mildly different struggles. So I do wish you the best of luck. Hashtag when with Mr. Happy. Today? Greetings, hi, and hello. Hope the move is going well, but be going through a similar move for a similar reason in my near future myself. Wishing you the best of luck thus far. It's been pretty good for me. Hopefully it's the same for you. Question for you regarding computer requirements. How do you think the recommended specs will change when 7.0 graphics update happens? I expect maybe a GTX 1060 at least. I don't know. I mean, it really comes down to knowing how they're optimizing the new graphics, because it's not a new engine. It is essentially just like a retexturing or potentially a layer over of the things that are already there. So the amount of resource intensity is the thing that needs to be called into question. The only way we would know that is if we knew exactly how they were engineering the updates. Now, they may have mentioned something when they showed us the update initially that would have given us a better indication. But I mean, honestly, I guess I would expect the 1000 series GTX to be, yeah, like a minimum. To surprised it's not, but I know the game really doesn't take a whole lot of GPU power. It is a more CPU intensive game. And so I do wonder if that's going to be more taxed instead of the GPU, even though I know we're talking about graphics here, but it just depends on how it's optimized. So, yeah, I mean, a 1060, 1080, somewhere in that range would be like a decent guess, but I'm not going to lie. I don't even know what the minimum specs are right now. I just know they're quite low. So I would actually need to remind myself of that and then get more information from them, and then I might have something to say. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. Was watching this week's vid and saw the question about the other Final Fantasy games. Was wondering if you remember even played Mobius. I played Mobius briefly. I had a really hard time getting into it. I hated the gacha of that game in particular. It had great music, really good graphics for the time, a really good story from the part that I remember playing. But I just couldn't get behind the gacha. Like, if a game is a gacha, it needs to make me feel good about pulling on the gacha itself. When that's not there, it actually gets really, really tough for me to enjoy it because it's such a core gameplay element of it. I don't want to feel scammed. I don't want to feel too pressured, but I want to be able to appreciate the game. And if I decide to put some money into it, that to me is like a very important balance to maintain, and Mobius for me didn't do it. And then you have stuff like Brave Exvius and War of the Visions, and those are, I hate the monetization in those as well. So I just think they were more popular, and I think they were easier to run on more devices. And I think Mobius's biggest problem is how high end it was. It was near impossible to actually run on mobile devices, which cuts a lot of potential revenue out. And then it was a mobile game put on Steam, which, you know, while I think is a good idea and more companies should do it, it's still not necessarily going to bring in the same kind of market. So I think they just had all sorts of struggles with Mobius, and Brave Exvius was just a natural choice at that point. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. With 6.4 fast approaching, do you think we'll see any gearing changes? We know for a fact there will be gearing changes. So if you actually go to the live letter digest from the previous one, I think the last one was 73. Last one might have been 72. They actually say that they have some gearing changes for this Savage tier coming up and some reward changes for variant criterion. So yeah, I mean, we're going to see something. I honestly think all we're going to see is a reduction in cost for the books. And that's it. I don't think anything else is going to happen, but we'll see. Thought they might merge Monk and Dragoon accessories like Ninja. Slaying accessories already between Monk and Dragoon. Unless I'm forgetting something. Are Monk and Dragoon accessories both Slaying? Wouldn't that mean they're shared? Another suggestion I found interesting is to make gear vendor that converts your raid gear into the same version, but for another job. Yeah, see, if they did that, though, it'd have to have a limited time. It would have to be strictly to correct gearing mistakes or decisions within a short time. They're not going to let you just full swap every piece of gear that you have every time you want to do it. Like, I know some people, it wouldn't matter. They would still want to, I don't know. They would still want to, like, collect more sets so they don't have to do it. But, like, no, they're never going to do that for anything more than correcting a purchase mistake. Someone informed me the first question was already done by Square Enix. Oh, yeah. So you're saying that, yeah, because they did. I was going to say, we've had slaying accessories for ages. Do you think they would add tanks to Reaper and Monk? So you mean, would they add tanks to the slaying? No, no, I don't think so. They don't have, do they have enough vitality on those? I don't think they do. But the big thing is the substats. If the tanks don't have innate direct hit, they have to meld it. So they won't do that. The only way they would do that is if they remove direct hit. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of okay with that idea, but that wouldn't be in time for 6.4. That would be like an expansion level thing. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. So another non-helloer. Yo, what's going on this week? We haven't had this in a few weeks. So my static pulled a fill-in from PF for P8S. For our usual opening to the fight, I addle Genesis of Flames. At least from my understanding of the game mechanics, I believe that I'm hitting Tetra Octra. For refresher, you cast Flare and then... Yeah, no, it doesn't work on that. I'm almost certain. So this is something that is very heavily debated about abilities that cast and then take a very long time to resolve. I'm almost certain that your Addle is not affecting things like Octa or Tetra Flare. That I use Addle on Sunforge instead to help with the damage. Keep telling you Sunforge is not the attack he thinks it is and starts using Addle. Then would be a waste. Got me thinking when I use it. Yeah, so it's ability to ability. Honestly, this always needs to be tested ability to ability. And I think in this case, so what's actually happening with this spell is the boss is giving himself a buff that will later be executed upon Sunforged cast. So that is the interaction between Octa and Tetraflare and Sunforged. So by placing it on Sunforged, you are hitting the effect of the Octa or the Tetra. So this is something that very heavily depends on the skill. There's also the confusion about abilities that place timed debuffs on people, in which case I believe only untargeted mitt, things like the Fizz ranged mitt and shields actually work on that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, because of the way this particular skill interacts, it needs to be done on the Sunforged. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. What's up, Happy? Hi, hope everything's going well. I'd say it is. It's been a while since the last background change. I still remember for all those years ago, the first background. Oh yeah, that was when I was living with my parents, and then I had the attic space when I was renting a space from a relative. Let's see. Regarding the worst 14 duties, I remember spending 4 hours on the last boss of Zot. I don't think I've ever... Wait, 4 hours? Wait a minute. You mean you would join dungeons... and then they would fail and time out, and then you would join another and they would fail and time out again. That's the only way that 4 hours would be possible because of the dungeon timer. Anyway, here's my question. I've been thinking about the element of surprise of X5, and I don't think if anyone's brought this up before, but what are the chances of 14's version of the Shadow Dragon is Vreacher being corrupted when he tries to save Asdaya? I don't think the Void story is going to have anything to do with the 7.0. I think it's going to set up things that will happen in 7.0. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with it. I think this is like a reset chapter, and 7.0 is going to go in such a drastically different direction that I don't want to... I don't think a lot of the characters that we're dealing with right now, that we have in our party right now, are going to be the major players in the expansion. So I'd love to be wrong, but they just keep trying to say that it's going to take such a massive turn in Point X5. That wouldn't... This to me doesn't read as a massive turn. It just reads as a logical prediction, but doesn't really fit the bill of a massive turn. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Yo, Happy. Yo, because of the space, I got so confused between Mr. and Happy. Happy, yo, Happy. Congrats on the move. Hi. Do you know the area you moved to well? I moved into the same building, but a smaller apartment. I am in the bigger room now because I live alone, so I just set myself up in the living room, and my bedroom is over there. But yeah, no, I'd say I still know the area pretty well. Two quickish questions. One, what's the best Devil Trigger form aesthetically? I love Nero's Devil Trigger in 5. I love it. I love it so much. Do you hold the controller like a human being when playing Armored Core? I do not do the reverse claw grip. I do not do this. For those who think I'm joking, I'm not. This isn't exactly how it's held. It's more like something like this or something. I don't remember. I do not hold the controller like that. I hold it like a human being, which means I'm a worse player, obviously. But, you know, that's what I do. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Good day to you, sir. Good day. I would just like your opinion on a matter as a longtime player. Sure. A few minutes after you released this video, there was a Reddit post being shared regarding... Oh, yeah, I already did this. It could be some mistranslation, but this might be something I've actually already straight up answered. The decisions team, because they're taking into account the negative feedback. They're making the game more casual friendly. They don't have time. Oh, no, it's definitely not because they didn't have time. It's because essentially no matter what they do, you get tomes doing everything. So if you just make it tomes, then people can choose exactly the activities they want to do. The problem is people like me sometimes like direction and being told, hey, we do this thing, and we like to focus on that thing. So it's less desirable to people like me. But yeah, no, I made a whole video about that. So that's kind of the TLDR version of it. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope your weekend has been good. Thanks. You too. So question about the relic. Dude, I'm getting a billion questions about this relic thing. Considering that there's barely anything to develop playable content-wise for new relics, where do you think all the development power went? We have a new Deep Dungeon, Island Sanctuary, Deep Dungeon, Island Sanctuary, 3 variant / Criterion dungeons. Yeah, I'd say that that's pretty adequate comparison-wise, personally. So that's going to be my answer. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mundaddies? It's definitely not Mundaddies. Hello, hola, and aloha, sir, and aloha to aloha. He literally just meowed right before I started reading this question. What is that triangle on HP bars on the party list? I'm probably rusty on my Google food, but I swear I couldn't find any documentation. Oh, wait. A triangle on the HP on the party list. I need to look at a party list now. Triangle? I'm looking at a party list right now. Triangle? Where is there a triangle? Which party list are we talking about here? Because I've got a live stream up over here, and there are no triangles on the party list. So I'm trying to think. I don't even think about like triangles or whatnot. If you could elaborate. The closest thing to a triangle are the buffs, but there. Okay. So in an alliance raid. That's what you mean. There's an upside down red triangle. That player has a debuff. Now that debuff can be weakness or brink of death, or it can be something from the boss. It could be a Vuln stack. It could be a Doom. Yes, there you go. That means that player has a debuff. Okay, that's what you meant. Also, a couple months ago, I asked who Mrs. Mrhappy and what would she say on Fridays. I want to say that joke was would be your antithesis or an opposite version of you, and didn't mean your girlfriend at the time, although the marriage of Mr. and Mrs. Happy would have been a good sitcom and a good murder. Wait, murder mystery? What kind of relationships do you think I'm in right now? Just noticed I spelled the hashtag wrong, but I'm keeping it because it's funny. All right, well, at least that was a roller coaster comment, but thanks. Oh, that was actually the last question for the weekly Q&A, so I'm done. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you have a question, be sure to put it in the comment section of the video below. And be on the lookout for a fun bunch of videos this week. I might not have a video on Tuesday. I'm working on videos for the other days at the moment. But I've also been super busy getting situated here. So I can't guarantee daily or near daily videos or retrospects or anything at the moment. But just know that I am working on that stuff. And of course, I'm working on stuff for Final Fantasy 16. As many of you know, I went to London, so I will at some point have videos on all of that at an undisclosed date. And on top of that, we do have live letter stuff, news, State of the Realms, preliminary patch notes next week, the patch itself, guides. Although I'm not going to be doing formal guides on the Savage fights this time around because it's going to be so close in proximity to 16. There's things that I want to finish before that, but I am going to do discussion style videos explaining why we're doing certain fights certain way, walking people through the decision-making process, talking about alternate strategies that maybe people will use, etc., etc. So discussion style guide videos. But either way, this is the start of new haps. So let's see where it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. And until then, take care.